Hello folks, on 8th of February 2024, just 2 months before the Lok Sabha election, the Congress party published a 54 pages of manifesto by the name of Black Paper.
आज देश पिछले 10 साल में समृद्धि के नए नए शिखर सर कर रहा है, उसको नजर न लग जाए, इसलिए काला टीका करने का एक प्रयास हुआ है।
India's main opposition party, Congress, has brought out what it termed as a black paper on the 10 years of the ruling party's governance.
Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge released the black paper this morning and targeted the center.
वो हमेशा अपनी बात को पार्लियामेंट में जब रखते हैं तो बार बार अपनी कामयाबियों को सुनाते हैं और उनके फेल्यूर्स को छुपाते हैं।
Now, this 54 pages of document is actually based on well-researched facts and figures, and they pointed out what mistakes the ruling government has committed in their last 10 years of governance. Now, some might consider it as a dirty political game, but we as citizens of India must appreciate this because the following analyses are made on well-researched data. Now, before digging deeper, the following chapter has been segregated into two sections, that is, the ANYAY, where we describe the black paper that's been published by INC or Indian National Congress, and the AMRIT, where we describe the white paper published by BJP. So, grab your seatbelts and drive into this journey of Anantarkal, of light and darkness.
भाइयों बहनों, हम लोग आजादी के अमृत काल में
Black paper claims the 10 years of Modi rule were a period of injustice.
Kharge tried to corner the centre over rising inflation and unemployment in the country.
Chapter 1, the ANYAY. Chalo, let's start. So, out of this 54 pages of document, we have picked up some of the most important points to point out the shortcomings of the BJP government. And you can read both the documents from our description section if you want. So, on one side, where the white paper declared that the Indian economy is doing insanely well as compared to the Congress era, but on the other hand, the black paper tells us one of the most important points that the white paper has missed out, and that is the unemployment rate. According to this paper, the unemployment is at its highest compared to past 45 years. And shockingly, the black paper says that the condition is so bad that 2 unemployed person dies every single hour.
मुंबई के पवई इलाके में 24 साल के एक एमबीए के छात्र ने बेरोजगारी के चलते आत्महत्या कर ली।
Two sisters who committed suicide and they used their father's licensed revolver. That's because it's believed that they were extremely upset as they did not, receive any job.
According to the black paper, the total unemployment for all ages as on 2012 was 1 crore people, which has increased to 4 crore in 2022. And furthermore, they pointed out that the youth unemployment has doubled from 6% in 2012 to 15% in 2019 and 20. And you know what? The black paper doesn't stop here. It further points out that 10 crore people under the age of 30 were under workforce in between 2016 and 17. By the end of 2022 and 23, the number came down to 7 crore people. And to make it worse, about 40% of the college graduates and undergraduates under the age of 25 are unemployed. So, long story short, the ruling government has terribly failed in keeping their promise toward employment.
नौजवानों, क्या मेरिट के आधार पर नौकरी मिलनी चाहिए कि नहीं मिलनी चाहिए? आपकी ताकत के हिसाब से आपको काम मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं मिलना चाहिए? Our aim is to create jobs for more than 1 billion young hands.
Now, let's get to the second topic, where the white paper on one side proudly proclaims with actual data that is how the fiscal deficit has decreased from increasing of resources like taxes and responsible expenditure done by the government. But here is where the black paper accuses the government something known as tax terrorism, Now, terrorism is actually an exaggerated word for this, but the following term basically indicates that the small and middle class families are being taxed heavily. Now, to understand this better, let's take an example. That is, in 2021 and 22, the total GST collected, the Congress proclaims that it's been charged from bottom 50% of the population, 33% from the middle 40% of population, and only 3% from top 10%. Now, by seeing the stats, looks like BJP is doing a great job, as the taxes are coming from all the segments of the society. But the real problem over here is the income gap between the rich and the consumption class. Well, to understand it better, let's take another data that will simplify things. So, in this chart, we can see only 5% of population in India files for taxes, and out of that, only 1.5% pays taxes. And this is absolutely terrible because these marks are at 10% for China and 43% for US. And what's sarcastic is that only 0.3% of Indians contribute to this 80% of tax collected in India. So this totally personifies that there is a huge income gap between the rich and the poor in India. Thirdly, the black paper points out something about manufacturing and exports of India. That is, the BJP has promised that India will compete with China, who was and still is the godfather of manufacturing. But the question over here is, did actually India turn into a manufacturing hub of the world?
In the year 2023, India would grow faster than China.
When I first visited the US as a Prime Minister, India was the 10th largest economy in the world. Today, India is the 5th largest economy.
But with current levels at about 7%, growing just a bit faster is all it needs to surpass China.
Well, the answer is not really. Because if we look at Modi government's target, they say the manufacturing must be 25% of GDP. But if we look at the manufacturing industry, has actually fallen from 16% in 2015 to 13% in 2022. So that's actually backlog and a matter of concern for all. Now, rather than that, there are other topics like government is not actually spending that much on its welfare schemes and more on capex, which is great on one side and also a disaster on the other side, which we will be discussing on the next chapter. Chapter 2. The AMRIT KAAL. Now, hands down, what the BJP government has done cannot be done by anyone else, and the reason why India is at top today. But in this section, we are going to speak about some of the most important development out of millions of development done in the country in past 5 years. So the first point is implementation of goods and service tax, that is GST. The BJP government introduced GST, which is a unified tax system aimed at simplifying the tax structure in India. The second thing is the BJP government launched the Digital India initiative to promote digital literacy and connectivity across the country, aiming to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. The adoption of digital payment has surged in India, driven by initiatives like the Unified Payment Interface, UPI, and digital wallets. In December 2020, UPI transaction crossed the 2 billion mark with total transaction value of over rupees 4.16 trillion. The government has focused on promoting e-governance initiative to improve service delivery and transparency. Platforms like Digital India and e-governance have been launched to digitalize government services. As of March 2021, over 3,000 services were available on the Digital India platform, facilitating online access to various government services. India has emerged as a vibrant hub for technology startups, with a growing number of unicorns and innovative companies in sectors like e-commerce, fintech, and health tech. The country is home to over 50,000 startups, with investment exceeding $11.5 billion in 2020. The third is the infrastructural development. The BJP government has focused on infrastructural development, including the construction of roadways, highways, railways, airports, and ports to improve the connectivity and boost economic growth. The government has focused on expanding and improving the road network across the country. As of March 2021, the total length of national highway in India stood at around 1,37,625 kilometers. The Indian Railway has seen significant investment in infrastructure development including the modernization of stations, introducing high-speed and semi-high-speed trains like Vande Bharat and track electrification. The number of operational airports in India has increased from around 125 in 2014 to over 140 in 2021. The government has set a target to build 60,000 kilometers of national highway by 2024. The government has taken an initiative to build a positive economy. As a result, they are trying more and more to emphasize people to not go for freebie schemes that are being applied by other political parties for vote banks. To understand it better, let us take an example to understand what this freebie scheme is all about. Now, at first let us understand that what does debt to GDP actually stands for. It is simply a matrix that helps to understand a country's ability to pay back its debt. The criteria to calculate it is total debt of the country divided by total GDP created by the country. Now, debt to GSDP is a similar matrix which is used to calculate for states. It's nothing but the ratio of debt of the state versus the gross state domestic product, and it should ideally be 20%. Now, to be more precise on it, at the beginning of every financial year, the central government lays an amount to the state government, which is also known as the budget. What the state government do with it is, it invests on things such as building, land, roadways, schooling, hospitals, etc., which generates employment. And on generating of employment, the economy grows of that particular state. And initially, at the end of the year, the state is able to pay off the amount that was given to it at the beginning of the year. And that's how the economy works of a particular country. But what these guys are doing is, on the announcement of the budget, rather than investing the amount on things such as building, infrastructure, schooling, hospitals, etc., what they are doing is, they are spending 20 to 30% of the budget amount in franchising this freebie scheme. As a result, no GDP is being created, and the economy is actually taking a back step. For the state governments, side by side, if we see that the burden of debt is increasing rapidly for them. Now, as per the white paper, there are several other developmental goals and welfare schemes that's been achieved by the government of India, but we have just described few of them which are very important. Rather than that, there are many sectors in which the development happens, such as national security, agricultural reforms, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Ayushman Bharat, Make in India, infrastructural development, and there are millions of other developments and reforms that the government has brought, which turned India into world's 5th largest economy. Overall, BJP scored 90%, and it wouldn't be possible without a strong leader like Modi ji. And it's a fact that no other government could have done what this government have done. But as a democracy, we need to look out for the left 10%, and that's the beauty of being a democracy. Now, it's upon the citizen of India in which way they want to lead their country. Only suggestion from my side is, think once and evaluate once before casting your vote. Till then, see you in the next video. Thank you and Jai Hind.